great to have this stage. Thank you so much. My name is Nikhil Gokhale. I am a director for research and digital properties at Cedar and IBS Intelligence. I'm here to talk about artificial intelligence in banking, the theme of today's summit. Look, all the numbers are talked about by Chetan, so I always leave that to Chetan. What I'm going to try and do over here today is try and see, try and make AI a little simpler for everyone to understand. By no means is going to be a small number. It's going to be $1 trillion industry in the next 10 years, and $1 trillion, fathom that, that's a huge number. I think beyond a point, the numbers stop making sense. So that's the reason why I want to go beyond the numbers and see what's going to really drive this, right? Before I actually dive in, all of us are today visiting, new websites every single day. I go to presentations.ai to quick start my presentations journey. Trip planner, personal front, use it quite often. Iris, open art, it can generate pictures. One trivia question. What does .ai stand for? Okay, let me flip the question. How many people believe .ai stands for artificial intelligence? Just show of hands, please. Okay, there are a few, but actually it doesn't. .ai doesn't stand for artificial intelligence. Domain names are actually given to only countries, and it stands for, it's been given to a small island nation in the Caribbean. It's called Anguilla. So what you see as .ai is not actually AI. That's not real AI. Let's turn to something what is real AI, right? So AI is not a monolith. It's not one technology. It's a set of technologies, right? It's OCR, for example. Now, when I started my career back in 2000, OCR was there. So what's different, right? What is different that we starting to talk about almost in every second word is AI today, right? So what is different? So the thing that is different is the layer on top, which is starting to make sense. Think about OCR as your senses, the five senses that a human has. OCR is that. And the AI layer on top is trying to make meaning of what that data is. So once you read what the OCR text has given you, AI is the brain on top sitting and interpreting things, making meaning out of it. Right? So that is artificial intelligence. It's not just one technology, but a set of technologies which includes the senses, as I called it, the machine learning, the ability to learn, and the ability to make meaning from the data. So that's AI for you, and it's so a subset of it is machine learning. It is about the ability to train models, the ability to actually train models on structured and unstructured data. There is assisted and unassisted learning that you do, but machine learning is a subset of AI. Under that is deep learning, made famous by Google. Underneath is Gen AI and LLMs, right? Large language models, as we know them now. So it's, as I said, it's a set of many technologies coming together and helping you make smarter, better decisions in a faster way. Now, definitely, one slide on Gen AI has to be there, right? And I think Gen AI has changed. It's really changed the discussion in the boardrooms. Earlier, a CIO or a CTO would have to go to the board saying that I need a budget for implementing so and so. Now I think, I can say for sure that, the board members go to the CTO and say, here's some money. What can you do for me? Right? So it's changed the conversation on its head. And that's what Gen AI has done to the whole artificial intelligence today. It does feel like magic. To be honest, I've used AI. I'm a user of generative AI. It feels like magic till I understood how it works. I still feel it's magic, even though I know how it works, because the speed at which it works, it's amazing the kind of output it gives. What is ChatGPT? Classical, right? A generative, pre-trained transformer. So what does it actually do? It's exactly what the name suggests. It's pre-trained. It's trained on not a few hundred data sets, not a few thousand data sets, but more than 9 billion data sets, right? Across, think about it as, ChatGPT has read all the newspapers for the past 50 years. It has read all the newspapers, not only in one country, two countries, all the countries, in multiple languages. It has read through all the transcripts that you have on YouTube. Now, it has taken 2 years to train this model, but now that the model is trained, it knows everything. It has the power of maybe 9 billion human hours of training, or maybe more, right? So I'll take an example, right? So, you ask, how are you doing? It's a very simple question that you ask ChatGPT. How are you doing? What does it do? It's going to go back, encode it. Now, the one, small, I would say, jargon, so to say, that you're encoding it because once you cannot do much with text alone. You cannot do a lot of statistical analysis on text. So you encode it, put it in numbers. Then you can put a lot of statistical analysis, and it figures out that the most frequent response to, hi, how are you doing, is, I'm doing good. How are you doing? So that's essentially what ChatGPT is doing. It is mimicking the billions of human hours, right? And giving you a response. It's not magic, but I think feels like magic. If I were to really dwell onto this one, from a statistics point of view, this was there, maybe 10 years ago. We've been talking about it 10 years ago. So if I may ask the audience, what do you think has really changed? What has changed? Because the statistics was already there. The data was already there. What has changed? Anyone? Chetan, you know the answer. You cannot answer. Come on. Anyone else, if we don't have... Yes, please. Spot on. I think it's the computing power. I think we're good. I think you're spot on. I think it's the computing power, the going to cloud, the cost and the availability of computing power. That has really changed. Imagine, from a technology point of view, ChatGPT could have been built 10 years ago. You would have asked it a question, and for 5 minutes, it would keep going around in circles, saying buffering or thinking, and then giving you a response. That won't work, right? So that has really changed. It's the computing power that has really changed. The cost of computing power, that has changed. It has gone down dramatically. That's the reason why ChatGPT can offer you their services for free, right? So it's here to stay, right? It's something that will be more available across multiple functions, and it's something that you cannot stay away, right? I know for a fact that my kid's going to school. My kid is in 9th grade now, and he's stopped, writing essays on his own. I wonder what's going to happen. I keep telling him, you will not know how to write an essay. And he comes back to me and says, why do I need to? And I have no answer to that, right? He says, I know how to write a prompt. Do you know how to write a prompt? Right? And that's important. Going forward, how to write an essay maybe is not going to be as important, but how to write a prompt is going to be more important. Probably something, what Ram said earlier in the day, writing a prompt engineer may not have existed 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, or even 2 years ago. But maybe that's going to be one of the most important jobs in the future, right? So that's generative AI for you. Again, just talking about making it contextual, right? A small story that I can think of. Someone had narrated this to me a few months ago. How to contextualize things, right? So if I tell ChatGPT, hey, I bought a Beamer. Now, ChatGPT should understand that Beamer means BMW. And then the response should be, hey, congratulations. Great, what can I do for you? And then I say, thanks, I want to cover it. Now that's where contextualization comes in. If you're Amazon, covering it means having a physical cover on it. But if you're an insurance company, covering it means I want to buy insurance. So the response will change completely for the same question depending on the context of who you are. And that's the reason why I think it's not going to be just LLMs, which is large language models, but also SLMs, which is small language models, which will be more important for the banking industry, for the financial services industry, because all the training will be contextualized already. The word may seem a little incorrect, small language models, because that's also going to be in a few billions, but still it's going to be smaller than large language models. So that's Gen AI for you. I think, contextual, it's going to be something that is going to change the way we work. And, you like it or you don't like it, but that's how the future is going to be. And the faster you agree and accept it, the faster you will be able to adapt to it. Okay, jumping to some use cases of AI in banking, right? Now, these are the use cases that we already see have been implemented in the making, have been out there for maybe a few quarters, because so that there's some benefit that we can actually already see. We see a lot of AI being used in customer service and onboarding, robo-advisory and wealth, and I have a few very select case studies for you. Financial research is something that we see a lot of use cases of AI. And keep in mind, when I say AI, it doesn't mean just one technology. It's across multiple technologies. Legal and compliance. So legal compliance, fraud and risk management, it's coming up, and people are starting to see the benefit of using AI and data analytics in these functions. Finance and treasury, same thing. Lending and underwriting, I think it's the use cases are slightly more obvious. So, those have been the first functions where the AI has been used. But we do see that, all these 8 functions will have a lot of use cases of AI going forward. In fact, there is, you probably don't see, there is a star mark there that says, there are also use cases for cross-industry functions such as marketing and HR. It's going to be, very important from operations point of view for a bank, from a customer service, customer satisfaction point of view, that you invest in these technologies in a significant manner. Going into a few use cases. First up is Commonwealth Bank. It's a large bank in Australia. It has 16 million customers. And imagine having 100 plus pages for each customer. So you're talking about a few billion pages of data. Traditional OCR, it struggles with unstructured data. It cannot really figure out what data is what, and et cetera, et cetera. Now, that's where the partnership of Commonwealth Bank with H2O, a smart document analysis. So what is it called? Yeah, traditional document automation provider, right? That's where they come in. So Now imagine, so right now, even today, even as I speak, there are the expense platforms that allow you to click a picture of your receipt that you've done. You've done an expense, you click a picture and upload it, and it figures out. Okay, what it sees, what OCR would see is a bunch of numbers. Okay, it would not know what is a tax number. It would not know what is the spending. It would not know a whole lot of other characters in the receipt. But as AI layer comes on top of it, it starts to understand. Okay, maybe it's a date field. And if it's a date field, is it DDMMYY? Is it MMDDYYYY? And it's all unstructured. The receipt, one receipt could have it in the left corner, the other receipt could have it in the center, and so on and so forth. It could be in different revenues. It could be in US dollars, it could be in INR, it could be in Bahrain dinar. All of this can be understood by the AI engine sitting on top, which is exactly what H2O helped Commonwealth Bank of Australia. Reduced the time that it took, so the 50 to 85% of automation. Now, again, what we see is typically the benefit that you start achieving from AI and use cases like these kind of top out at 85%. But I think that's a good number, because then you want to make sure that the remaining 15% is something that a human will intervene, and there will be continuous learning, right? So over time, maybe it'll go up a little bit, but there are always going to be cases which are outliers, which would be something that humans will have to deal with. So we see that 50 to 85% is where the benefit of automation can really come in. It processes millions of documents daily. Needless to say, it has saved operational costs for the bank. And the last bullet, I feel it's something that is underrated. It's improved the employee experience. Now, imagine all the mundane work is taken away. Of course, it's going to be pushing you to do something more, better, bigger, but still, the mundane job is taken away. And you no longer need to keep doing things which are boring, something that you don't want to use your brain in, right? So it's something that, hard to put a number to, but it's a very important benefit that, Commonwealth Bank of Australia actually enjoyed, right? Maybe, in one way we could look at it, the attrition number, but there could be 100 other reasons for attrition. So, but these are qualitative benefits that should not be underestimated, in my opinion. Second one, I think I'm going the other way. This is one of my favorites. I remember doing a session like this, and where I spoke about ChatGPT as one of the use cases of AI, and I saw the look on the audience face, and each one in the audience was thinking, Nikhil, you're talking about the chatbots, and I hate them. Right? The chatbots are actually, I don't think they have been a great success story for AI, for the whole AI family, so to say. I think they have been a very weak use case. People end up getting frustrated with the chatbots. I think this is one use case that I've seen out there, which has really changed the whole chatbot, the way we look at it. It's for a company called HDFC Ergo. It's a very large insurance company in India, and they partnered with a company called Voice Owl. It's a voice automation bot, and it's learned from hundreds of hours of calls between customer agents and clients, and it has learned from it. So it's not a glorified IVR. It's not like, okay, if you want to know your balance, press 1, and you, instead of pressing 1, you say 1. That's glorified IVR. That's not what you're talking about here. You're talking about the voice bot coming on board and actually saying, hey, so-and-so, it knows the name. Hey, so-and-so, what can I do for you? And you don't respond in a menu, but you respond in normal English. It'll understand and it will respond. And can do that in multiple languages. It can do that not just in multiple languages, it can do that in a combination of languages. So if you mix 2 or 3 languages, and as we normally speak, it can still understand and have our discussion. Right? Now think about it. It's going to change the whole contact center industry. The whole KPIs of contact center industry have always been, okay, how quickly can you turn around? How quickly can you resolve the query? How many calls can you take in a particular day for a customer service agent? All this is going to change. Now imagine a voice bot. You don't mind. You don't mind a voice bot having a half-an-hour discussion. I hope not, but you don't mind because you could just ramp up the capacity by 10 more, right? It's going to change how you look at customer service. Have a huge implication on the whole contact center industry. And again, just talking about the impact that this particular implementation brought for HDFC Ergo it brought about 60% reduction in the wait time, right? So because 40% of the calls were completely handled by the voice bots, right? So this is a very, very interesting use case of AI that we've seen in the market. I see the timer here as well, just like Pankul mentioned before, which has gone down to 00, so I have to be quick now. Saudi Awal Bank, they went through a merger, and the number of transactions that they were processing zoomed, and the existing infrastructure was simply not able to give the kind of intelligence in terms of AML and fraud that it was required. Partnered with MasterCard's TRM, the transaction risk management system, had huge benefits in terms of how they are able to reduce the false positives, because it's a learning platform. It's getting trained every single time. It shows a false positive. The human comes in and says that it was not a false positive. It was actually a perfectly fine transaction. So it goes back and learns. And over time, maybe over a period of 6 months, typical time taken to stabilize a system, you would reach the ultimate expected benefits that you can expect from implementation like that. Morgan Stanley's very own Copilot. I put Copilot in a quote, in a single quote, because Microsoft has its own Copilot. So Morgan Stanley, they built their own Copilot internal system, a completely walled system. Essentially what that means is Morgan Stanley could put all their proprietary data, proprietary research into the model called the RAG model. It's retrieval assisted generation. So for people who want some jargons, the whole point is that it brings in all the knowledge from the external ChatGPT sort of environment, and it gets fortified and enhanced by the reports that you have created internally, the proprietary reports that you created internally. Benefits, faster and quicker ability for the wealth managers to go and spend more time with the clients and less time reading about reports. The ability to come to the right products in a much faster manner. And yes, again, I think it's going to be something that the human can do best, which is getting that rapport, creating a relationship with your clients. So the real humans can focus their energies to do that. Okay. So before I go to the last slide, I'm going to step back because the last slide is going to be very different from everything that we've spoken so far. Now, I know we've spoken, even in the first panel, we spoke about use cases. I'm not saying use cases are not important. They are important because you need to show ROI. If you're going to invest, you need to see the benefits. But I think it's beyond. It's something that, as an organization, you need to do in a more fundamental way. Let me tell you a story. There was in Italy, there was a ice cream parlor, and if you've been any of these ice cream parlors, you would know that you go stand in the queue, you choose whatever you want, the flavor of your ice cream, the toppings on that, and then you reach the cashier, and the cashier looks at it and says, okay, he starts billing, okay, these are the toppings that you used, etc., etc. It used to take a lot of time. The cashier would just take a lot of time to figure out what was the flavor, what was the topping used, etc., etc. Right? And that's where the owner of the parlor decided to put AI, like image recognition. Let's simplify it. Let's not talk AI. Used image recognition and was able to actually figure out what are the toppings, what is the flavor in a much faster way. The lines reduced, and things got better. But that's not the story. The story is that there was an oncologist in the queue, a cancer specialist. He saw this and he said, this is interesting. I can use it. He took this image recognition technology and went back to his team and said, can we use it to identify the cancerous and non-cancerous cells? Within 6 months, they were actually able to create a platform which could diagnose cancer cells at 1/10 of the cost of traditional methods. So the takeaway for each one of you here is there are use cases everywhere. Keep your eyes and ears open. Enable, empower your employees. Enable, empower your clients to tell you what they want. And how do you do it, right? So you need to create a culture. You need to infuse AI in the organization's culture. How do you do it? There's a slide talking about it, of course. Empower through learning. It's important that everyone in the organization understands what AI is, goes through continuous learning about AI. That's when their thought process is going to improve and they can think of multiple things. Steering the vision. I think it's a great forum that we have today. We have all the senior most leaders and they're going through the sessions which talk about the power of AI. So sharing the vision, I think it's important. Getting the leaders to understand what the power of AI is and making sure that they are able to go and encourage their teams to implement and use AI. Fusion teams, again, very important. So the AI COE way of working is important and useful when you know what use cases you have, but that's not enough because you want to have fusion teams where it's not just the center of excellence going and pushing the business side saying, what do you want me to automate today, right? That doesn't work. It should be the other way around, or it should be a joint mission, right? It's about agile teams in a different way, right? You need to have business side, the IT side coming together and solving a problem. Empowerment platforms, invest in platforms, give the power to your employees and let them use it, right? And that's going to throw up new ways of how did I save time? And now the final one, I think, celebrate. I think it's celebrate the wins is extremely important. If you know that one person in the organization has done something really well, tell it to all 10,000, 20,000 employees so that they will be able to actually benefit from the same way of working, right? And how do you do it? Not by, pushing it and, just by celebrating. So celebrate, tell the whole world that, okay, You did a great job, and we really want to acknowledge the way you've done it. And that's how you actually infuse the way of working AI in your culture. There's really no other magic formula. So that's what I wanted to share with you in terms of what AI is. I hope I was able to give you some perspective.